I was a weird kid growing up. When other kids were getting into Star Wars, I was diving headfirst into gangster movies. I didn't just like them, I was obsessed. But not just any gangster films, I was obsessed with the movies about the Italian-American Mafia. I love The Godfather, and to this day, the first two Godfather films are my top 2 favorite movies of all time. That's not nostalgia talking, that's a fact. Scorsese, De Palma, Coppola, those became my favorite directors. I even bought the Encyclopedia of the Mafia and started to read how this whole thing actually started. Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, Benny Siegel, the Chicago Outfit, the Commission. I was fascinated by the real history behind it. Then one day while at Blockbuster Video, I discovered a VHS for a film titled Mobsters. That was the first and only film at the time to talk about the rise of Charles Lucky Luciano and the formation of La Cosa Nostra. I had to rent this movie. I took it home and was very disappointed. Not so much for the story the movie told, but the performances in the movie.
Hold on a second here. You're telling me you didn't like Mobsters?
No, I kind of disliked it.
That's one of my favorite movies.
I thought The Godfather was your favorite movie.
That's my other favorite movie. Listen, you don't got the right to disparage this thing of ours.
I wasn't going to.
Calm down. I know you weren't. I'm just saying. Let me finish this intro. Then you can do what you do.
Okay.
Mobsters is a 1991 film directed by Michael Karbelnikoff and stars Christian Slater, Patrick Dempsey, Costas Mandylor, and Richard Grieco, who, by the way, I don't know if you know this, is a close personal friend of ours. The film follows Charles Lucky Luciano, played by Christian Slater, and his 3 friends growing up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, 2 Italians, 2 Jews. Back then, both groups were heavily discriminated against, so they did what they had to do to survive. Eventually, they get the attention of major mob figures and bootleggers who want a piece of their action. From there, we get betrayals, murders, power struggles, and a decent representation of how Luciano and Lansky helped modernize, organize crime, and create what would become known as La Cosa Nostra. Now, if you haven't seen the film, I suggest you stop the video, go watch it, and then come back, because this blowjob hack right here is about to ruin the whole thing for us.
The film opens as a superimposed card informs us that we are in New York City in 1917. We then transition into an apartment where a father with a terrible fake Italian accent is arguing with his son. What is the argument about? I have no clue. I mean, listen to this.
I got a right to drink a glass of wine.
I got a right to find work that uses my brain.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Suddenly, Robert Zadar walks in. Well, I mean, he's a big guy. I suppose he's the Luca Brasi type in this situation. The father continues his wonderful Italian accent, and then Dumbledore walks in. Dumbledore is portraying Don Ferrazzano, who's actually supposed to be based on Salvatore Maranzano, a powerful Sicilian mob boss in New York. I don't know why they changed his name. He enters and grabs Luciano's father's testicles and then his mother's boobs. After disrespecting them, he leaves. May I add, we don't know what Luciano's father does. All we know is that he's supposed to kick up money to Ferrazzano, but he doesn't have the cash because his daughter is sick. Anyway, we see Charlie is holding a knife, and his mom, who looks only about 10 years older than him, tells him to put it away, that one day he'll get his revenge. We then see Charlie talking to his friend Frank Costello. They see their other friend Joey running away from this Irishman wielding a knife. By the way, that guy Joey is also Joey from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 and 4. Anyway, Joey stops in front of Don Mazzara, who is his uncle, and begs for his life. Mazzara ignores him and lets him get stabbed. He then tells the crowd, the street people, that
terrible what these niggas are doing that come down from Harlem. Killed my own nephew.
You liar!
Later on, we see Patrick Dempsey's getting his ass beat by the same Irishman that killed Charlie's friend Joey. Dempsey is portraying Meyer Lansky. A group of people are holding back Richard Grieco, who's portraying Benny Siegel. I say Benny Siegel because he hated the name Bugsy. The Irishman is kicking the crap out of Meyer, but Meyer won't stay down. Finally, the Irishman's had enough and he pulls out a knife, and that's when Charlie steps in and saves Meyer's life. From here on out, our 4 men are friends forever, and 5 years later, they are making a name for themselves on the streets of New York. They're at a restaurant and Meyer tries an experiment, as he likes to say, in order to pick a true leader of their crew, someone everyone respects. They decide to let a young boy decide. They tell the boy that a powerful man in the back room has a job for him, but they don't tell him which guy is the powerful man. And in the back room is both Meyer and Charlie. The boy picks Charlie, and that's how they settle it. Charlie looks like a boss, so they decide he is the boss. Okay, not sure if this is how it really happened, but whatever. Anyway, Chris Penn walks in and tells them that Arnold Rothstein wants to meet them. The following night, Meyer and Charlie meet with Arnold Rothstein, the man who fixed the 1919 World Series, played by F. Murray Abraham. He wants to get into business with Charlie and Meyer. F. Murray Abraham is a fine actor, honestly, but in this scene, he delivers a line in such an over-the-top fashion. I don't know if that was a choice or this was like the 20th take and he was so annoyed, so he decided to say it like this.
What's the secret of America?
What's the matter with this guy? I'm 24 years old. How the
Money!
Anyway, Rothstein takes Charlie and Meyer under his wings and mentors them. We get a montage and see how Luciano and his crew are making more money than they've ever made before from bootlegging. And then we're at a party and Meyer introduces his girlfriend to Charlie and... Wait, is that your Gumar?
Yeah, before the burn scars.
You know you're getting a divorce, and I see you less than before.
I didn't say no.
I just want your undivided attention for once. Is it so much to fucking ask for a little bit of attention?
Shit.
Yeah, she's hot. Anyway, they now have a target on their back as Mad Dog Cole pulls up and tries to take them out. Luciano and Meyer manage to escape, but it's clear that Cole was paid to do this, and they needed to find out which one of the bosses ordered the hit. Verrazano tells Luciano that he should join his family and work with him for 15% of the profits from bootlegging. Charlie and Meyer discuss the deal with the others. Meyer tells Charlie that if Charlie accepts Verrazano's deal, that after a while Verrazano would try to take out Charlie because he's a Sicilian and would one day want to become the boss. Charlie goes to meet Joe Mazzara and in the process bumps into his soon-to-be girlfriend played by Laura Flynn Boyle. I will say I like how they try to make this relationship between Charlie and Mara romantic, as Charlie was known to be a womanizer and contracted STDs, which is they portrayed in Boardwalk Empire. Speaking of Boardwalk Empire, Charlie and Mara's relationship is reminiscent of Charlie and Mrs. Darmody, or Gillian Darmody's relationship in Boardwalk Empire, who she portrayed a showgirl as well. We then find out that the boys' booze were hijacked and they have to go tell Arnold about it. And I have to interject here and say that the writing in this film is downright awful. The dialogue is vague, as if the writer had no idea what they were actually writing, and every character already knows what's going on. Nothing is left for the audience to discover or solve. Charlie doesn't even evolve into Charlie. Like, we don't see his progression from this naive kid into the man he's going to be. I mean, even in the beginning of the film, when we open up, Charlie's talking about how he has the right to use his mind for more than just, I don't know, cleaning fish guts or whatever he said. Like, he's already determined to be more than what he is at the moment. And once we see him 5 years later, he's already Charlie Luciano. That's going to be the same Charlie Luciano to the end of the film. He doesn't evolve. He's not like a Michael Corleone character who comes back from the war and wants nothing to do with his family's business. And then he's forced into it after the hit on his father. Anyway, Charlie and his crew go to talk to Arnold about the hijacking. Arnold tells them a story about a historical figure from Austria that brought countries to the brink of war to keep them in line, and then would negotiate peace, and they would thank him not knowing he didn't even have an army. I looked up the story and it was entirely fake. I mean, there was an Austrian figure, but those were not his tactics. Anyway, Charlie already realizes what he needs to do, and that's send a message to the people that hijacked their booze. So on the next pickup, Benny goes and is ambushed, but he gets the upper hand. They round up all the guys that were attempting to hijack the booze, and they know that it's Verrazano's guys. Benny kills Tony No-Nose, which pisses off Meyer, who tells Benny that he's sick of him acting so dumb and he's reckless and he's going to start a war. We then discover that Verrazano is giving them 24 hours to basically surrender and work for him, or else. Charlie and Meyer decide that it's best not to get on Mazzaria's side, as he has the power to protect them. But Mazzaria knows that this is what Charlie has in mind, and after some squabbling, he accepts Charlie as his number two. I will add on a side note that they constantly have Joe Mazzaria eating throughout the film, and when I was younger, I thought this was dumb. But now as an adult, I kind of like it because, well, I'll explain that later on. They set up a meeting with Mad Dog Cole, and if you want to know what I meant about the dialogue and the acting, then this scene is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Check it out.
It is not a question of numbers. Anyone can rack up numbers. It is how you do it. It is a question of style.
You saying I don't kill with style?
No, I'm saying you don't know how to kill at all.
They asked Mad Dog Cole to leave New York and to head out west, and they could offer him a lot of work if he heads out there. They tell him that it's because they know they might step on somebody else's toes and that person might hire them to do the job that he didn't do the first time, and that Cole has like this guaranteed policy not to miss twice. He says he'll think about it and he leaves. Charlie wants to kill him and Meyer tells him no, a decision that will cost them dearly later. Charlie goes to see Mara, and this is probably the best writing in the entire film thus far, and that's her just hitting on Charlie as he just stands there and blushes the entire time. Anyway, they end up banging and dating, but they aren't really calling it dating. They're just saying that they're friends, but they're together. It's a relationship, and they both really like each other and kind of are in love. Meyer marries Anna, and during the reception, Luciano's crew starts babbling to anybody that will listen about what their plans are for the future. They're talking about unions, they're talking about going to Chicago, they're talking about doing more than just staying in the 5 boroughs. Masseria's assistant with the goofy face hears this and tells Masseria, and they decide to put a hit on AR. The next day, Masseria breaks the news to Luciano about Rothstein's death, but tells him that it was over a gambling debt. Tommy Reyna, played by Chris Penn, tells Charlie that he knows Masseria is behind the hit on AR and that Charlie has to kill him. Tommy negotiates a meeting between Ferrasano and Charlie, guaranteeing protection if they meet in Staten Island under Charlie's good friend Joe Profaci. Meyer doesn't like this idea and says whenever things are between Italians, one Italian always ends up dead. They get into a huge fight as Meyer says Charlie isn't listening to his friends anymore, and Charlie says Meyer doesn't have it. Now Charlie meets with Ferrasano, and this is where the writing gets better for the entire film. From here on, there's this whole dialogue scene between Ferrasano and Charlie that I really did like, and it continues on. The writing is actually good from this point on in the film, in my opinion. Ferrasano agrees to take Charlie under his wing, give him protection, and go to war with Masseria as long as Charlie kills Meyer and Benny. Charlie refuses, and they torture Charlie and leave him for dead. Charlie tells Benny that Tommy betrayed them. Tommy gave up Luciano as long as Tommy could leave Masseria and join Ferrasano's crew. The cost of doing this was to give up Luciano. Benny then goes and kills Tommy himself. The guys use Tommy's death as a chess move against both Masseria and Ferrasano, making the other believe that they're responsible, meaning Ferrasano thinks Masseria ordered the hit on Tommy and vice versa. Now Masseria and Ferrasano are at war, but both sides are only costing Charlie and his crew money. Charlie and Meyer then think the only way they can get Masseria to trust them again is to save his life. So they order a fake hit on Masseria in which Charlie saves him. Charlie then goes to Ferrasano and tells him that he wants to kill Masseria, and the only way he could do it is if Masseria thinks Ferrasano lost the war. Ferrasano agrees, and then Charlie tells him to never threaten to touch him or his people again. Ferrasano agrees and apologizes for torturing Charlie. Charlie and Masseria are celebrating Masseria's victory over Ferrasano, but Ferrasano's still alive. And Masseria's like, when are we going to kill him? And Charlie says, what does it matter? We won the war. We're in charge now. He's out of the game. It doesn't matter. And Masseria starts to laugh and accept this, and they start to eat. Now, I originally said that I like this part about the eating the entire time in the film. He's always eating, because this is actually what happens. Charlie excuses himself to use the bathroom after bringing up, his friend Joey. Kind of like they're trying to make it seem like it's because of Joey that he held his resentment. This doesn't matter. It was all business to Charlie. It has nothing to do with Joey, his old friend, in real life. Charlie goes to the bathroom, and that's when Benny Siegel and Frank Costello walk in, and they execute Masseria. This is actually how it happened, but I will say one thing. I don't think Benny or Frank actually were the ones involved, especially not Frank, considering I believe he became a boss at one point. So he wouldn't be able to have done this. He wouldn't have been a boss in the future if he did this back then, but I don't know. I don't remember. Later on, Ferrasano celebrates and comes up with the structure of the 5 families, and that all the dons of the 5 families would report to him, Capo de tutti capi, boss of bosses. This surprises Charlie and Frank. Charlie and Frank know that as long as there's a boss of bosses, there will always be a power struggle with people wanting that top position. Now, this scene I don't understand. Mad Dog Cole is like ambushed. He didn't leave or anything. He's just walking around, going to a car, and he's ambushed by some Italians. He wins, and then he goes after Luciano. So I thought he thought Luciano ordered this hit on him, but it doesn't make sense. Anyway, he goes after Luciano, but doesn't get Luciano because he's in a different room, and accidentally kills Mara. Charlie is heartbroken and wants revenge. We then discovered that Ferrasano hired Cole to kill Charlie. So I don't understand what the whole point of him getting ambushed was about earlier. I'm going to assume that Charlie ordered the hit on Cole because of AR, but I didn't see it, or I missed it, or something. I don't know. But anyway, Cole tells Ferrasano he wants the money that he's owed. Charlie finds him and a shootout ensues, but Cole gets away. Meanwhile, Meyer, Benny, and Frank get to Ferranzano's office by pretending to be IRS agents. They're about to take out Ferranzano, but Mad Dog Cole is there, and Mad Dog Cole holds them up and tells them that he wants his money first before he kills all of them. But surprisingly enough, in another twist of fate, Charlie walks in, and Charlie kills Mad Dog Cole right there with a Tommy gun. They then hang Ferranzano out the window, and Charlie tells him that he waited 15 years to kill him, all over for how he destroyed Charlie's father, which we don't see him destroying him. I guess grabbing him by the testicles and touching his mom's boobs is destroying him. I don't know. I would assume that something happened with Charlie's father later on, the deleted scene or something, but we don't know. But anyway, he was destroyed, and Ferranzano says, I don't even remember your father. And then Charlie says, that's the point. And Betty, I think, cuts the wire that was holding, I think it was the curtains, and Ferranzano drops to his death. Then we see the formation of the commission. 5 families, each with their own territory in New York, and each with their own boss. And the commission is going to work like a board of directors for a corporation, with every head of the 5 families being there and one chairman of the board. They elect Lucky Luciano to be the chairman of the board. And that's how the film ends. You know what? I'm not going to stand by my original assessment that Mobsters is not a great film. I mean, it's not a great film, but I don't think it's a terrible film. I don't hate it like I originally did. After rewatching it, there are things I do like about the film, but I will say, I still do think the film suffers from a poorly written screenplay, a shoddy director, and bad casting. I mean, from the beginning to the midway point, I never bought Christian Slater as Charlie Luciano. If anything, I was watching Christian Slater doing his best Robert De Niro impersonation. Patrick Dempsey also is acting like a Jewish grandpa for the entire film. His portrayal of Lansky is this soft-spoken Jewish man from New York. But if you actually watch an interview of the real Meyer Lansky, you see that he had a really deep voice. Anyway, the best actors in this film are F. Murray Abraham and Richard Grieco. Yeah, Richard Grieco is one of the best actors in the film, and that's saying a lot. But like I said, after rewatching it, there are things I do like about the film. I think the set decoration was great, the costume design was magnificent, and the action was phenomenal. And when I look at the movie for what it actually is, I have to say it's kind of enjoyable. I mean, the studio obviously knew what they had, and they were trying to make the best of it. They knew that men would want to go see this film because it's about gangsters, and women wouldn't. So what they cast these really hot guys that women love as these lead actors in the film. Then they incorporated a lot of sex scenes and a lot of action. I mean, I spoke about one sex scene, but there's another that comes out of nowhere, and I was like, what? What the fuck? I also like the music in this film. Whoever did the score did a really good job. So this film has a lot working against it, but it also has a lot working for it. But with that being said, I'm going to give Mobsters a 2 and a...
A what? A 2 and a what?
With that being said, I'm going to give Mobsters a 3 out of 5 stars.
That's more like it.
A low 3 out of 5 stars. Mostly because it was the first time they tried to adapt the true story of how the Italian mob was formed. I loved the music, the art direction, the cinematography, the costume design, and the set pieces. So, with that being said, like I said, 3 out of 5 stars. Anyway, that's my review for Mobsters. If you like this video, remember to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and I will talk to you guys next time. Remember, don't play with yourself. Peace.